That's okay.
How's it going this morning?
Good.
A little bit better?
A little bit better.
Yeah.
Welcome to 1 Million Cars. And you're going to tell you sex things. So just anything first kid. Is there anyone new with 1 Million Cups here today? Could you guys all introduce yourselves?
Jim Redmond, supply chain, Contour Printworks company.
Super, welcome.
Ariel Wachkowski, Wavely with it's a job app platform, and I'm actually really excited to be here because my friends and mentors have been telling me to come here for years, and this is the first time I've been here.
Welcome, Mario.
Hi, I'm Rob Hasefield. I am a behavioral design and gamification consultant.
Super.
Hi, my name is Benji, and I'm from the education field. I'm currently working on the Gap Year program.
Excellent. Well, anyone else did?
Yeah, Dan Fredrickson. I haven't been here in years. I'm a business lawyer at KO who represent clients of all sizes and commercial and corporate matters.
Great. Fun to see you, Dan. All right.
I'm Sarah Joy Font. I'm new to Million Cups here. I've been going in Seattle for
Oh, nice.
I work a portfolio and payroll giving these.
Great, great.
Really exciting.
Well, I'm Jim Sears, the entrepreneur of Business LC Bio, and Ian Kuliasha is my co-organizer, as well as Susie Kelly. And so we'll and wanted to always thank KO for the coffee here and Galvanize for the room. We have a lot of nice presentations coming up in the ensuing weeks, so just make sure to sign up for the meetup announcement to see what's going on. Get an announcement about 5 days before each event. So, your presentation, everyone.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
Perfect. If you want, I'll give a short introduction.
Yeah, what is it about?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give a short introduction about myself because it really has a lot to do with Burn to Give, which is what I'm presenting today. By my accent, you'll notice I'm not American. I'm from Chile originally. So to make a very long story short, my background, I'm an engineer. I worked for over 10 years in finance in Wall Street. Year 2014, I decided to quit what I was doing and do a 180-degree shift. I moved from New York to Africa to do volunteer work in Tanzania. And in my time in Tanzania, I got the opportunity to work with malnourished children over there. So that's one of the things very important. It has a lot to do with Burn to Give. And the second thing that happened that has even more to do with Burn to Give, I was at that moment probably 20, 25 pounds heavier than I am today. And I was in my mosquito net one night in the internet over there. The internet works pretty well. I don't know why, but it works amazingly well. And I came across a video of Ironman Kona, which is, the World Championships of long distance triathlon. I saw that video, and I was totally inspired by the stories of people finishing that race. And at that moment in my life, I saw that and I was like, how can a human being do those distances and under those conditions? I found it like for me it was something impossible to do. But something in my gut told me, you have to do this race at some point in your life. So this was 2014. I'm a pretty obsessive person in a good way. So I started training triathlon, and I started throughout that process. I started losing pounds of the extra pounds I had at that moment, and I started with a romantic idea that what if these pounds I lost, I could give them to these kids I work with in Africa, right? And it was pretty poetic, romantic at the moment, and that led to not everyone needs to lose pounds, but everyone needs to burn calories to keep healthy, active, etc. And that led finally to Burn to Give and the business model I'm going to show you today and tell you what it's about. So before I start, I just want to show you a short video.
So let me just ask you a question. What's the design of the presentation? What's it supposed to do?
Yeah, sure. So I want to show you. So we just launched our MVP at the beginning of this year, right? To prove the concept that the business model I'm going to show you work, right? It was pretty impactful MVP. You'll see it. So today I just want to present you to get feedback in terms of our business model going forward. We're in the process. We already finished our seed fundraising with investors in Latin America, in Europe, and here in the U.S. But basically feedback about, it's basically the investor deck, what we have here, and the business model, how it works. So we'll go over all of that and tell you what we're doing now and what we plan to do forward. I mean, our end game is landing in the US. This is a Chilean-based company right now. We just incorporated in the US a couple of weeks ago. In our end game, we're going to go from Chile to Peru, Mexico, and the US is the final end game. So, of course, any feedback around that is greatly appreciated. Yeah,
Good.
excellent. So let's go with the video, and then we'll go quickly to the presentation.
Every 10 seconds, a child dies from malnutrition in the world. Every 8 seconds, a person dies from overweight or obesity-related diseases in the world. Two opposite and fast-growing global health concerns that get connected. They need to burn calories. They need to receive calories. What would happen if we could recycle the calories burned exercising and give them to those in need? This would happen. We would hit the headlines and be all over the news. Forward-thinking brands would use their marketing budgets to sponsor and finance these calories. And most importantly, we would be able to feed the children suffering from malnutrition. And in a matter of weeks, this actually did happen. Burn to Give is a platform that converts calories burned exercising into life-saving nutrition for children in need. For each calorie burned exercising, a calorie is given to a malnourished child. These calories are converted into emergency nutrition by a sponsor, generating a virtuous circle among users, brands, and people in need. We inspired thousands of Chileans to become active for a very special cause. And all around the country, people began burning, sharing, and giving their calories. And then, something unexpected happened. People from all over the world joined the cause, generating a global movement. And in 30 days, with $0 spent in marketing and 50,000 active users, we were able to reach 75 billion calories burned exercising. Enough to feed and save 1,000 lives of children suffering from severe acute malnutrition in Haiti. And the best part of all of this? We are just getting started.
Okay, that's very brief. That saves me like 50 minutes explaining what it's basically about. So now I have 6 minutes, so I'll try to summarize this presentation and generally take a little bit longer to deliver, but yeah. So I'll try to be, okay, so basically our mission here is inspiring people to become active and live healthily by feeding those in need, right? So we're a platform that recycles calories burned exercising and convert them into life-saving nutrition for children in need. We're using basically best-in-class technology to connect people, companies, and children in a way that makes sense for each of these parts and create exponential impact and solve a global problem like is hunger, right? I'll go very quickly about the problem, right? Today, 1/3 of the world is overweight. I would say everyone knows this. There's an increasing desire to give back, right? Especially within the millennial generation that is coming, that people are not focused so much about money, but how they can contribute, and they're pushing global brands to give back and contribute in their own ways. And at the same time, close to 10% of the global population goes to bed at night hungry, right? In the corporate world, right, companies are targeting their advertisement dollars in a way that not only is targeted, sorry to repeat, but also makes social conscious sense. And you have this group of millennials that is growing and is the biggest spending power today, and in 3 years it's going to even be bigger, right? So the solution is basically we're using technology to connect to global health concerns, increasing global health concerns that are opposites, such as obesity and malnutrition, in a way that helps solve them both. By deliver basically three solutions today. There's more than that, but it's premium advertisement, corporate wellness programs, and a SaaS platform for races and events that uses big data to give a better service, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And basically connecting people around the world to help together for a special cause, right? So again, I generally spend a little bit more time on this, but basically, how does this work? And let me give you an example, because we're launching the app on October 1st, in 10 days from now. But basically, let's give you the case study for the marketing department. So you go out for a run, and you basically, our platform is integrated with Garmin, with Strava, with all existing fitness devices, first of all. Second, if you don't have any of these, you can use the Burn to Give app to track your calories. The good thing about calories is that it's not sports, it includes every single sport. It includes even dancing, right? We're going to be in Lollapalooza, which is a really big festival in Chile in a couple of months, and we're going to burn your calories. So it includes everything, right? So you monitor the calories that way, and each time you go out, and let's say you go out for a run, and you put start run, you're going to get a premium advertising on the first partnership with the brands. Let's say it's Walmart, which is one of our companies. It's going to say, okay, you burn the calories, we, Walmart, will pay for the calories you burn. So the companies are basically incentivizing or inspiring people to move by their desire to give back, right? And at the same time, they're making this connection, this personal connection with each of these users. And then the users go out for the run, and they finish the run, and they have a calorie bank account, if you want to call it, where they have each of their workouts with each of the sponsors that pay for each of their calories. And we gamify all this experience, right? So we have people from different cities competing. For those of you familiar with Strava, right, who uses, right, the King of the Mountain and all that, we're doing gamification, but centered, tailored towards giving back and helping. So the person who helps the most, gives the most amount of calories, et cetera, is the one, the King of the Mountain or something like that. And the other thing is that you can share all this in social media. So we give an extra incentive at the end of the user. It says, do you want to multiply your calories times 2? Share this in social media. And companies share, users share their impact in social media, and they amplify, right, the sponsorship funds of each of the marketing departments that are there participating. So that's how we could, as you saw in the MVP, we could, reach 30 million people with $0 marketing from a small town in Chile, right, and spread all over the world, because we use this gamification and social media to convey our message, and basically appealing to human beings and their desire to give back that is stronger than their own desire to make or improve their own life. So in terms, I'll spend really 2 seconds here in the business model, because this is the first question everyone asks. It's, well, this is a really good idea, but how do you make money out of this, right? It sounds like an NGO. How does it work? So how we do it is basically, and this is a very general example, but how we do it with most of the companies like Walmart, Coca-Cola. Let's say Walmart comes in and says, okay, I want to allocate $100,000 instead of using it in advertising in the newspaper or in Facebook. I want to allocate it to Burn to Give. So we're going to have a bucket of $100,000, and we're going to take $1 after each active engagement. What is one active engagement? It's each time a user connects with the company, right? So each time a user goes out and it says Walmart is paying for your companies, he gets an email with a discount from Walmart. Walmart appears in his calorie account. It's a very premium experience. We take $1 out of that $100,000 bucket, so they have 100,000 active engagements. Okay, and with that, our main cost is basically buying the calories each of these users burn, right? If we take the average of the first MVP, which was approximately 170,000 workouts, in average, people burned like 500 calories, which is there. But the only caveat to that is that in the MVP, people would manually input their calories, which is not, and so it was probably a little bit exaggerated. Probably now that it's going to be trackable with Strava and all that, it's going to be 300, but let's take 500 calories as the base case. The cost to buy 500 calories of food for a malnourished child is 30 cents a dollar. So basically, we have a gross margin of 70 cents per dollar in each of these after, and this is a little bit more complex, but we're creating a calorie fund, which is basically an NGO. But we have basically 70 cents of gross margin, and then and here's where we're debating how to go forward, because we're trying to see how we grow, and if we should incorporate it. That's one of the things I would love your feedback is if to incorporate as a B Corp, right, and be socially driven, which is how I started this, and what's at the. And for that, we're basically trying to set a target, given that the gross margin is so big, at the beginning, of course, it's going to be zero because we're spending a lot of money in technology and all that, but going forward, right, anything that, that is excess for that, having a profit sharing mechanism to go to a calorie fund, which is like a sister NGO that acts as a pass-through to the, different calories we're getting. So this is just to show you a little bit how the business model is, and the good thing about this is that we give back to the client a direct measure of how they're spending $100,000. So we give them an ROI on, the amount of, people they reach, the group, how many people click their ad, the purchase intent, and a bunch of metrics that gives them a very tangible return on each of their marketing dollars spent on the platform. The corporate wellness program is similar to this, but this is a little bit how we're making it work. So this is a little bit the MVP that I told you, right? We shared this in social media on March 15th. It went completely viral. We had 10,000 users in 48 hours, which is, for Chile, it's something unheard about, ever. I sat down with one company per sector in Chile, which, again, Chile is it's a well-developed country in Latin America, but it's probably 10 years behind the US in terms of corporate responsibility and all that, and marketing, social marketing, if you will. And I sat down with Coca-Cola, with Walmart, with Merrill, with very big companies in each of these sectors, and almost with 100%, and they were like, this makes total sense for us, we're totally in. And we got $200,000 without a product in 7 days, and this figure has already tripled in the last couple of months. This was the result, 50,000 users. I would say the most interesting thing here about, besides the amount of users in 30 days, is that this was a web app that was not usable at all. It was something that would throw you out. It was not usable, and even like that, people loved it. I mean, there were people logging calories like 3 times per day, 30 times per week. It was really, so people really were craving something like this. And the most important thing, and which was incredible, we were able to feed and save 1,000 lives in Haiti of children suffering from malnutrition. We traveled there, we delivered the calories, and I can talk a little bit about later how we're monitoring and making sure those calories get delivered at the end of the day, which is really important. So yeah, to sum it up, it was very successful. We got like a little over $1 million in return in media without spending anything. Chile, 17 million people, and if we would do this somewhere else like Mexico, the US, the reach would be even bigger. And this just to summarize what I told you before, right? These are the different areas where we're monetizing. I would say another interesting one is this one that we discovered along the way. We partnered up with, in the last 6 months, with around 15 races, from 10K races to marathons, where we offer them, 2 types of services. A free service, where basically we give them, use this code for all your runners, and they'll be able to, the calories they burn, we'll group them up and we'll tell them the amount of impact it made as a race, okay? And that gives us free customers, basically. 5,000 people run the race, 5,000 users for us. And then a premium service where they pay for the calories. And we give the races sponsors. Let's say there's a marathon sponsored by Patagonia. Patagonia will connect with each of the people racing that day, and they'll get an advertisement from Patagonia, thanks for burning and donating your calories. And it doesn't even have to be on race day, but we can expand it a week, 2 weeks before, and it can expand the race's geography. So for example, we're having races in Santiago in Chile, and the races amplify to the whole country, and the sponsors have a much bigger reach than they would have on a 10K, 5,000 race in one location. So, and I would say the most important part of all this is that we're incorporating big data. We partner up with CMM, which is in Spanish, Centro de Modelamiento Matemático, or Center for Mathematical Modeling, which is the biggest big data center in Latin America. And we're basically using big data to try to have a premium service in each of these areas. So let's go for the marketing, for example. We're working on a recommender systems, where basically the advertisement that goes to the users is not only by default or aleatory, but it's basically using the user's information. And the good thing about Burn to Give is that we've asked people in focus groups and in our challenge, and they know that Facebook and everything out there, they're using their information, but we're telling them, look, we're going to use your information, but this information is going to help people, and by using it, and they're 9 out of 10 are okay with sharing it. So that's a little bit about it, and with that, I'll tell you the next steps, but I think we're out of time, so yeah, that's a team. Yeah, that's basically that's it.
Go ahead, hit the team. Those last 3.
Yeah. So so that's me, me, and the team is basically. So I'll go really fast. Yeah, I'm sure you probably know. No, so he has a similar story. He's my brother, 8 years younger. He was also working at JP Morgan, and he quit 6 months ago to join the Burn to Give team. Chief Calorie Strategist. He's a person with 10 years experience in the venture capital world, and he was the head of NXTP Labs, which is a venture capital, Latin American venture capital fund. He quit that to come on board. And the CTO, this is a guy that is a professor in the university in Argentina, and he's been working for 13 years in fitness tracking and fitness in the fitness technology space. So he has a lot of experience with Garmin, with Strava, and all that, and with wearables. He's one of the most. So he loved our mission. He quit what he was doing, and he came on board actually 3 weeks ago to our team. And yeah, this is probably the person in Chile with the most amount of experience in big data, and he's leading all our big data analysis and what we're going to do going forward. So yeah, those are our main team. So yeah, that's Burn to Give, and
ground rules. Let us know who you are, sense about yourself, fire away.
I'm Rick Brennan, local entrepreneur and investor. Fantastic idea, and obviously you're off and running. But I wanted to address just your presentation today. I think you lose a lot of your impact because of the complexity of your presentation. So pick any one of your slides and you'll see there's tons of text. And that makes people want to try to read it and not focus on you. And then you're trying to give us as much as you can, and you're very excited, but you're speaking really fast. And that goes right over the head of a lot of people. So I would recommend simplify, use a lot more imagery, and slow down.
yeah, no, to really good advice. And actually, this presentation is probably meant for it's like more an investor deck, to go over an hour. It's not for a 6-minute presentation. But I totally agree with you.
I'm an investor, and I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
it's too complicated.
Yeah.
Especially, just pull one slide, the one that's got your business model. No, the next one. Yeah, you can simplify the hell out of this. It is simple. The big point that you're trying to make here is the runners or the exercisers exercise, the sponsors have access to these people, they're lucrative, they're in the right segment, and the sponsors give you money and you buy it.
Right, yeah. That's actually that's the one that would be more simplified. That's the one we generally use for now.
All of them, just simplify the heck, and people go, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah.
You don't need to understand all the details.
Thanks. Yeah.
My name is Emily Kaji. I actually just moved here from New York, so nice to meet you. I loved a couple of things about your presentation. I thought starting with a very personal story was very engaging, and it kept me going the whole time. I appreciated that it was from a very personal place, and I think it gave your presentation just a ton of weight as a result. And I think your business model is extremely well thought through. I've done a lot of business in that time, and I can totally see why this is blowing up there. I guess my question for you would be, you said, should I be a B Corp or what? And I guess the second question would be, where do you think you want to base yourself out of in the US? And what do you need to do to launch here that you haven't already figured out?
Yeah, really good question. So right now, we're using Chile as a test lab, right? So we have our product. So basically, most of the product, like I told you about the return to the companies and all that, we're working on that. So what I did the first year is, for example, that's why we chose one company per sector, and we're working with them for example, Coca-Cola. We're having meetings once a week with the marketing departments of Latin America to see what works for them and what would make sense in 2019, 2020 going forward, and try to build our product around that. We're doing the same thing with Walmart. We're doing the same thing with the sports retailer. We're doing the same thing with the real estate company. So we're not going to do exactly what they say, but we're learning from them. So we're going to spend probably a year doing that and learning exactly how the marketing departments of each of these sectors work to tailor the product. And I want to wait for that to be done to launch in the US. So that's basically a really robust offering back, because if we would launch now, we'd get a ton of users, but maybe the companies would be happy for one, but we want something that's recurring and something that makes sense for them. So
have any of them offered you US access to their products?
Powerade, especially in Merrill, they're there's a couple of these companies that we're gonna launch. They started with the marketing departments, and now we're gonna do a global corporate wellness program with them. So and with that, it's the next step. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's get to Ian.
Yeah.
So I'm Ian, I'm a local attorney at KO. I want to address the pitch in sort of a similar way as Rick, and then I'll ask a question. So this left me excited, confused, and worried, which is kind of an interesting combination of things. So minor feedback, the voiceover in the video gave me like goosebumps of, wait, is this like a please buy my like weird as sold on TV, like buy it right now, like $1 million. Like just the voice, the hype just struck me as like, wait, I'm getting steamrolled, something is not right. So I don't know, that's kind of a funny, just emotional reaction. But then to Rick's point, there's just so much data here that I'm left thinking of this as like a hot mess of potential, where something here is really cool, but there's so much data and so much information, and you're talking so fast and delivering so much information that I can't parse what's happening as it's flying by me. So like I'm getting like a glimpse of red. Ooh, I like red, and it's gone. And then, whoa, it's gone again. So slow down, to Rick's point, slow down. It's 23 pages, I think I saw at the end.
Yeah.
Do it in 10. You've got 80 words on each slide, put no more than 15. And if you can't explain the business in 30 seconds, you need to rethink how you're explaining it. Because the information about the features and the sponsors, like that doesn't matter. Like what you're trying to say is, Walmart pays us to engage their users. Users use us to save children. We make money from Walmart. I now understand your entire business, and I said that in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta condense. So that's sort of the emotional feedback. The question is, I just made up a business that I think is yours. Is that right? Who's your customer? Who's your user? Is it the same person? And how are you guys making money again?
Yeah.
I'll give you those 3 answers.
Yeah, sure. So it's a B2B, B2C. The B2C is the user. It's free for them, right? It's only free, so they're not the paying customer.
Okay, so they're not your customer.
They're not my customers.
So
they're the users,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So the paying customers are the companies,
Okay.
and it's basically 3 streams. The first one is the marketing departments. The second one is the corporate wellness departments, and the third one is what I mentioned, the races, right? That are paying for us to engage with their own sponsors or their own companies, right?
Okay, so give me descriptors of those people. So Walmart is paying you, and then event sponsors, race.
Exactly. So the best example, Walmart, for example, is paying us to engage, with their core target market in Chile, right? Which is whatever, men between 30 and 45. We can segment exactly what they want geographically, right? And then races, for example, we partner with the biggest race in Chile, which is the Santiago Marathon. And basically they pay for their, 30,000, the calories that 30,000 users burn during that race, right? Which is not a big amount. And we partner, the main sponsor of that race was Entel, which is basically like a T-Mobile over there. And each time the runners finish the race, they use the burn to give out. This T-Mobile or Entel appeared there and he gave them, and that's basically T-Mobile or Entel was the one who paid us, right?
So Walmart, race organizers.
And the third one is the corporate wellness. So let's say whatever.
Who's that?
So we have
Walmart?
3 companies. It's called Colbún, which is the biggest power company in Chile, and they pay for the calories of their employees. So they see a return in making their employees engage together. And what we do, we make competitions between the different departments of the companies, and they pay for the calories.
So internal customers. So Walmart can pay for its employees to get involved. Walmart can pay to engage with its customers.
Exactly.
Race organizers can pay. And then you guys take a cut. So if you get $100,000 from each of them, is $100,000 of calorie going out, or is $50,000 of calorie
So
going
our
out?
cost is where it's more close to 50%, and the other 50% goes to operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So could you go back to your team?
Yes.
And just based on your presentation and the complexity of all of this stuff, one thing that comes to me about your personality is that you've got a lot of energy, you've got a lot of ideas, and you like to kind of expand your thinking. And my question is there anyone on this team who's like a skeptic, who's anxious, who's trying to keep it small and focused, and reins you in?
Probably not. No. We have different roles here in the team, which is really important, and I try to look for complementary skills with each other, right? So this guy over here is dealing with the international expansion in Latin America because he has all the net, so I don't get involved with that. This guy over here is taking care of the existing clients and what we're doing with them and making sure we address every single need they have, right, to tailor this and make it go. And this guy is, of course, focused on the technology, right? They're not here, but we have a solid group of advisors, which are the ones that, I sit down with them every 3 weeks or something, and they're the ones I discuss, where we should go and all that. But like right now, I poured out everything, but we're very focused on the marketing departments right now. So that's we're monetizing that. As a startup that started, in 6 months ago, right? And we're going to finish the year with blue numbers or profitable, and I'm focused on that and trying to, make something that is not, a long term that we wait 3 years to have the platform ready and just execute and make something that, we're talking about the Rick, but those are things that are coming along the way, and but we're really focused on the marketing departments right now.
Just one more question, if I could,
Yeah.
quickly, if you could discuss your decision to be a for-profit instead of a nonprofit.
Yeah, so I've started 3 nonprofits in the past, 2 in Africa and 1 in Chile, and with not very good success. I mean, they start the first year and a half, and first of all, you don't get outside money, so you can't grow that easily. Second of all, it doesn't always have to be like that, but you mostly depend on donations, and people get excited for the first year or so, and then they just disappear. So through experience and through trial and error, I learned that, you have to build a business model that makes financial sense, and at the same time makes impact. And the best proof here is that we're closing our seed round, that in a record time, 2 months, 2 times oversubscribed, and we'll be able to create all this impact. If I had structured this as a nonprofit, we have 17 investors. 16 out of those 17 would not have invested, and would not be able to scale this up and do what we think we can do.
That's a great answer, by the way. Thank you. I very rarely hear people who are starting impact businesses have a thoughtful answer. That's a very good one. Thank you.
So I found your personal introduction really engaging, and maybe this is a stupid idea, but I'm going to throw it out there. Have you considered this company sponsoring like an Ironman race, or having your own Ironman race? So that if like a minimum in your presentation, you can say, I started by being inspired by this Ironman training, and I had this realization, and now we're sponsoring Ironman, where we donate out of our profit all of the calories from our Ironman directly to kids as like our profit center. We can do this additional thing. I think it's really good like bookends.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And yes, we're going to be actually in Kona in 3 weeks from now in the expo. I didn't want to show you the video, but it's a pretty good video. It's a 4-minute video, and I'll share it to the group afterwards. And so we're going to be in that race, and most of the countries that are going to be, we're going to have a stand, and we're going to invite the athletes. And a second answer to this question is that we're doing now in Chile. So we're launching, as I told you, October 1st, the app, and it's going to be a 30-day challenge to feed children in Chile from October 1st to November 1st, and November 11th, we're closing this challenge with a local 10K race, and we're going to experiment how that works out, because for some of our clients, they like the local presence and the activation, like in an event that closes up all this virtual, sound route. So we're going to do this 10K race, which is 5,000 people, and it's actually starting to sell out tomorrow.
I've done a lot of commercial brands. I've done a lot of work in corporate social responsibility, which is that department between marketing and the CT of a company. And anything you can do to connect the dots between those NGO relationships I've had managing for companies is fantastic, because marketing doesn't always do with those NGO relationships. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity to keep building that out. But the more you can speak to the corporate social, the CSR departments, the more you're helping marketing. I think the faster the deals make.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, when I approached these companies, they went out like for the marketing department directly, but in most of those meetings, it was the marketing person with a CSR person sitting down. So in Walmart right now, I'm talking with a CSR person, because she's the one explaining to the marketing, look, this makes sense. And so the big companies and the big companies, they've actually partnered up. So it's a
and just keep talking about the ROI they're getting at.
Yeah.
Because CSR doesn't understand that language to the point that marketing can. So just
they're both exactly.
Hi, I'm Brian Long. I've got a data gathering company here in Boulder. I was fully engaged to the point I've already followed you on Twitter. I've already checked the App Store, and I didn't see your app is in the U.S. store.
October 1st we're launching.
Okay,
we're in the final.
So I'll check that. I've already checked that, and I've already checked the Polar integration. I didn't see that yet.
October 1st.
Yeah. Okay. Great. But fully engaged. education.
Yeah.
I fully agree with the other comments you got from Rick and Ian. You probably need 2 versions of this deck, a short version for presentations like this, and then a longer version for the appropriate forum. The one thought that I wanted to give you though is that the 50% margin, to me, it's just a gut thing. I think you're going to be able to do better, where you might be able to give like 70% to the charities, and you know you're running on 20% overhead and 10% profit, or however that's going to shake out, right? TransferWise, if you're familiar with them, they do international money transfers. As they've gotten bigger, their fees have gone down, so they actually charge their customers less. And there's going to be a potential tug for you because your investors, being greedy bastards, are going to say, no, I want the 50%. And then, but then on the other hand, if you're going to try to have this, you know, the true charitable nature of what you're doing, even though it's a for-profit, you know, you're going to have that tug between 50 and 70.
Yeah.
And maybe just think about that in conversations with investors, and making sure that they're real clear on that.
That's a really good point, and actually that's why, so that's one of the things, to be super transparent, that I've, like, given that today, of course, we don't have 70, 80, because we're spending all the money. That's why I put this target here, and when I sat down with a very hardcore invest, like NXTP Labs, which is a really VC focused, you know, like, and I told them, look, this is where I want to go, right? And everything I'm signing with them is being super transparent and telling them, look, this is where we want to go, and yeah, that's probably how we're going to figure out the puzzle and see how it.
So structure-wise, that's your biggest question. Because when you talk about whether you want to be a benefit corporation or, you know, whatever stage you do, they're called different things. But if you want to choose that structure, the reason to choose that structure is to alter your mandate as a corporation. Because if you don't have that alternate structure, you are obligated contractually, like your mandate is to make as much profit as possible.
To that point, I already, and to be super transparent to my current investors, the bylaws that we have right now are structured as a B Corp in Latin America. So I went in full disclosure. I told them, look, this is what it is. I haven't made the decision, but it's probably going to go towards, and here are the bylaws, and these are the bylaws. And even with that, I was super impressed. They were, we still want to go in. So.
And
I was super surprised with that.
Other question about this Calorie Fund being a sister nonprofit.
Yeah, so a nonprofit. So right now, just spend 20 seconds on the nonprofits.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, so there's a pass-through. That's the thing. It's a pass-through, but we already closed a partnership with the World Food Program and with the FAO, the United Nations, and basically, you know, they're probably going to be the ones who give this, and they're what we need back as a return. So this. We might use it, we probably won't use it. So
yeah, every other part of your presentation, you're showing that you know that you find other people who are the best at what they do and you partner.
Exactly, and I'm not the best at this, and that's what I'm delegating. Exactly, yeah. And that's
people who are best at what they do, you partner.
Yeah.
Hi, Wendy Montero. I am the GM for Wavely out here. I have a quick question. I love the idea. I think it's great. But as someone who already uses something like this, I use Charity Miles. How do you, what's the difference between what you're building and what Charity Miles is building?
Yeah, so Charity Miles, basically what they do, first there's a bunch of different. First, they do miles, right? They don't do calories. Calories, you know, gets a whole different, you know, number of. Second, Charity Miles is not integrated with any existing tracking devices, and they won't integrate in the near future. They probably never will, because they basically appeal to the, you know, people walking, and 80% of the users is basically people walking, looking at their ads, right? If you use it, they don't have a gamification platform. You know, they have a leaderboard, which is a very simple thing. They don't go more than that. And for the charities they have the structures. Basically, they have a cap that they close, for example, $1 million. And then they just prorate that, you know, they just distribute this regardless if there's whatever, you have 100 users and they run 1,000 miles per year, they're not going to pay that. They're just going to allocate that depending on the charities you choose and all that. And I would say the biggest difference is the Charity Miles lets you choose from 70 NGOs, right? And at the start you say, wow, that's really good because it gives you flexibility. But at the end of the day, when you do calories for calories, it's a very tangible social impact for the user. So it's you go out, you burn 700 calories, you know you're getting 700 calories, which is one meal to a child somewhere else, right? And that is one of the things, I mean, Terry Miles right now has like 230,000 active users. We've been about 6 months and 1 month of operation, we have 80,000 active users, right? And that, I think, there's not a clear explanation why that happens, but it's the tangibility and being able to track and gamify the experience around giving back, you have to link it to a very tangible outcome, right? So that's another.
I had a similar question about Terry Miles, but I want to say I know it's as an expansive, fast talking, my name's Justin as well. This, I know that you discussed that it wasn't compact enough, but I can tell that like this was probably like a really huge leap to go from all the things that I was throwing for you, right, to having these kind of models that were reasonable. I think everyone can say, hey, you can refine it more, but I just want to say, good on that, man, because I know it's not always easy. With Terry Miles, I was going to bring that as well. I was going to kind of suggest, like, a lot of times when we look at competitors, it's easy to like say what they're not doing right. But I think Terry Miles had a really awesome impact and had a lot of really great traction that really can build out the value proposition of the case for what you're doing differently and how you're going to have success, right? So the differentiation is the way in which you're innovating with wearables, right? That's a really awesome value prop that maybe gets lost in the presentation of the slide deck. That really does offer differentiation, right? They have strong user base, they've seen a lot of money come to the company, or have the success as a for-profit company as well, right? So you can really, I think, use the opportunity to build off of the success they have, and then allow that to really highlight what is really unique about your app and your platform, your business model, kind of.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So another point I forgot to mention is that what we're doing with the big data side of things, the recommender systems. So we have 2 clients that already work with Terry Miles, and they actually, and again, we're trying to learn from that, and they work with them for 3 months each of them, and we're giving them a really different, and that from the outside is not noticeable from anyone, right? But our return on their investment is super concrete. And yeah, I would put it here, but it would be longer, but it's a very detailed, like every single cent they invest, we give them like a 10-page report of where, when, how, where, what's the return, etc. So that keeps them coming back. Yeah.
I'm Susan Cressman, product person. I love what you're doing. I have a few thoughts about the product side and also your market side that Ian was trying to clarify. I agree with what you're thinking and kind of focusing on. You basically have 3 marketing departments in a way. You have 3 different business models. So one model is basically events. And events, people aren't fat. They're thin, they like to burn calories, they go all the time. So your original video, which did not give me the heebie-jeebies like it did Ian, that was great. Doesn't meet with that particular marketing part of your company. The weight one of people getting healthy to help other people get healthy, I think is a really great key message, but I don't think it's really happening through your app the way you're describing it today. I do love the idea that wellness companies is your second business, wellness and companies is your second business model, but my concern is that burning calories doesn't help people lose weight if they keep eating more calories than they burn, so you can't really track whether they've gotten healthier by burning calories. So if there's some way in those wellness situations with companies to verify that a little bit better for really improving their health, they're going to be more likely to invest in it. I have a significant other who has 3 employees who are constantly overweight, and they have to be under like a huge, like 275 pounds. And they can't even manage to stay to 275 pounds, which is crazy. And so having something like this that makes it gamified and helpful is great, but it really needs to transfer to them actually better heart disease, all the other things, and that their weight is actually really coming down. And I like the way that that also transfers into your 3rd business model, which is consumer, business to consumer. And I'm wondering, I don't know exactly, it looked like you were having the consumers pay for an app, and that's how the money goes through to your.
No. So let me answer those 2 questions. So the first one, I didn't want to get too busy everyone, but we're doing a pilot program on the calories, which is a really good point. We're doing a pilot program. Walmart is one of our marketing department's partners, right? So they're paying for this. But what we're doing is basically, we're doing the calories in and calories. So we partner up with a local health insurance company in Chile, and just to give you round numbers, an average health insurance costs $100, right? So through our app, it's very obvious that you can measure the amount of calories you burn, right? But as important as the ones you burn are the ones you eat. So we're going to do a program with Walmart that we're trying to see how we make it happen, where if you buy, for example, 3,000 or whatever number of calories of fruit and vegetables per month, that's going to appear in the app as well through Walmart. Okay? okay? And that is gonna give you a discounted insurance premium, which is, again, a separate, totally separate.
That's still within the corporate wellness part?
It's not, it's for the users at the end of the day, right? So if, let's say the insurance premium goes from 100 to 90, okay? And there's a $10 spread, okay? We're gonna offer it to users at 91, and we're gonna keep that dollar or something like that.
Well, it's an interesting idea. I think it's reasonably complicated to accomplish that with insurance companies, and it still doesn't really address whether their health is getting better, which is where the corporations will.
Yeah, so that's gonna come here, depending on how we advance on this corporate wellness program, right? So I mean, sorry, to your question, no, the users are not paying anything. It's the companies that are paying for it.
Well, so my point was going to be that I think consumers that are trying to get healthy and lose weight might be willing to pay for a subscription app if they know that they're making other people healthy in the world. And so my last thing I just wanted to mention was, I'm wondering about how you're going to scale and whether the saving the children message should be local to the communities that you're within in each country. You picked one very hot spot, Haiti, which obviously has some serious problems, but like this morning in NPR, I heard that people are displaced from fires and floods, which are really bad this year. Often increased poverty and people unable to eat, so people feel like they're helping someone in their neighborhood that might increase.
That's an extremely good point, and actually we learned it the hard way, if you will. The first, why we choose Haiti and Chile, and a lot of people probably don't know this about Chile, but it has the largest obesity, childhood obesity in Latin America and fifth in the world. So I wanted to choose in Americas, biggest malnutrition Haiti, Chile, biggest obesity country, child obesity. So that was our MVP, right? But a lot of companies that didn't participate in the first challenge told us, look, I love this, but I would love to do local work and give back, and I would be willing to do this, but if we gave locally. So that's why we're doing the second one in Chile, because 90% of our companies and our users are in Chile right now, and people, it's strange, but people get connected more with the local culture. Right? So that's why we're gonna do that flexibility to work in locally.
I just want to respond to you to say that you have had really good answers, and it's obvious that you've really thought through a lot of areas. I think this particular slide could be really clarified to those three specific markets as too much on. You can't really see those three markets you're trying to address.
All right, let's see if we can get through three folks.
Yeah. Very quickly, Susan just stole my words out of my mouth, but I love your answers on a lot of these. And I just wanted to A, say, great, but B, say what's great about it is, and maybe you can emphasize this a little bit more in your answer to surface it, but you guys are learning a ton. And I think what's really going on in this business is you've identified, and you said it earlier, like we don't really understand the reason why it's working. I think you really should lead with that and say, this has taken off. Look at the insane growth we're getting. People just wanting to throw money at us. And we're chasing all of these reasons. And we're trying to figure out what's really resonating. Why is it? We've learned that we're trying this. Like, that part of your answer is just wonderful. And even if I thought this was really stupid, which you know, as an investor, you invest in teams, not necessarily products, right? You invest in teams that understand a problem, and you guys are clearly working your way down the dead ends and sort of backing up, and like, you're gonna figure it out. So I think that's one of the reasons that you've seen the success with investors you have. It's not because of the business, it's because of your answers and how you're approaching this and how you're thinking through this.
Yeah, and to your point, what we have is just like a site we have in our office right now. We have like all the things we've learned in each of the areas, because like 6 months ago we were.
Picture that.
We should.
Who put that on?
And it's like 60 things, like things that like the market thing is like was a huge learning, and we multiply revenue times 3. Given that we said, okay, now we're going to do it in Chile. Okay, great. Now, so there's a lot of things that we had no clue, and we're like taking notes.
Your team slide should be the back of everyone's head, looking at that big wall with their names on the back of the head. Like, that's the most impactful thing. Like, this is the team, and they're not looking at you, the investor. They're looking at the problems. They're looking at the things they've learned. Meet the back of their head. You meet them for real when you invest. Like, that's awesome.
All right, let's see if we can get through a number of questions in just a few minutes. I'll come to you in a second. In the back.
Can you hear me now? Okay, great. I'm Rob Hayesfield, and I'm a behavioral design and gamification consultant. So, one, just want to say I love that you guys are doing that. I think that that's a really powerful way to behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk after this. But, so one thought, I have one thought, one question. One is, I actually a little bit disagree with some of the comments earlier about like emphasizing these numbers in certain ways. I actually think that like what your product has right now is a really great emotional appeal, right? So it might be wise to double down on that even more. You know, in the behavioral economics literature, when it focuses on increasing donations, one of the things that you may know about, but I'll just mention for the whole room's benefit, is the identifiable victim effect, which is basically like, it's more, if you look at an individual person, if you have like a picture of just one person that you're helping, a lot of times that can be way more impactful than having a big number in front of people, because that just helps people identify more. So you could even have some material in there that just would maybe like have like some sort of pen pal interaction between one of the...
Sure, what we're doing with the World Food Program is that the on-site volunteers are sending us the pictures of the children we're helping, and we're going to send that eventually to the final people burning the calories, and we're going to have a personal connection with the calories you're burning, and this is John, and this is the guy you're going to be feeding for the next month we work at.
Yeah, and I'd say throw that into the pitch, and you can even leave some of this stuff as things that you can use to answer questions. So you have these slides pre-prepared, and you don't even need to get to them in the main pitch, but you can come back to them. But the other question that I had though is, so you collect a lot of data. I'm curious if you've done any sorts of experiments on the data, what sorts of interesting things you've done.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we signed our agreement with the Mathematical Modeling Center, and actually on October 1st when we launched the app, we're going to start collecting all the data. Right now it's an Excel file, but now we're going to have GBA. We're going to have all that info, and one of the tasks for the next 3 to 4 months is basically analyzing that and see what comes out, right? I have a couple of ideas of recommender systems for the companies, but these guys are like geniuses. They do this all day, and they're like, just give us the information, and we're going to tell you where we can use this, right? So yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
So I want to piggyback on the last comment. If you go and simplify your business model, it's sponsors contributing money to users chain the brands together because you've got an identifiable victim that you're helping, right? And if you take that model and its simplicity, calories is just one example. So I'm involved in a number of nonprofits because of events in my life. So I have a sister-in-law that has multiple sclerosis, so I give every year to their life thing. But they really miss a big opportunity that your infrastructure could help them. So if you thought more broadly, after you nail the calorie thing, if you thought more broadly, I would give multiple times a year to multiple sclerosis, especially if it had your infrastructure underneath it. I love what you've chained together. My mother-in-law died of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is terrible at raising money. They raise money because it's so painful, but their infrastructure sucks. And so one of the things, if you're talking to investors, you can say, look, we're doing calories. This is how it works. This is the meta model. It works for all kinds of stuff. It's that model.
Yeah.
Boy, that would make your presentation for an investor way more powerful.
No, and to your point, so exactly, just to the point of focusing, we said, you know what? Because at the beginning, I was like, okay, we said, let's focus on calories because calories for calories is super tangible, but going forward, why don't we build an API for all these nonprofits and to integrate with this once we prove it? And that's probably 1, 2, 3 years down the line, but that is in our goal. Doing an open API, for example, for Alzheimer's, they want to use our platform for a local race or do whatever, okay, let's do it, and let's do that integration. But first we decided and we said, okay, you know what, let's focus at the start with calories because it's super simple, it's super connectable, but going forward, let's try to use our technology to broaden out what we're doing.
I'm just saying that gives you the scale component that is hard to tease out of this, and that's what investors are.
All right, Eduardo, thank you very much.